In the heart of Lagos, where tall glass towers glittered under the blazing African sun and gated mansions sprawled across leafy streets, lived a woman whose beauty and wealth were the subject of whispers everywhere. Her name was Zara Okafor, a rich black African woman in her early 30s. Her life sparkled with elegance. She drove the latest luxury cars, dressed in flowing modern gowns stitched by top designers, and her mansion glowed at night with golden chandeliers visible even from the road outside. She appeared perfect, untouchable, and radiant. Yet, beneath the surface of her polished smile, there was something strange, something no one could ignore. Every time Zara finished a conversation with anyone, whether with her household staff, her friends, or even her fiancé, she would quietly excuse herself, walk into the sprawling garden behind her mansion, and vanish among the hibiscus flowers and tall palm trees. At first, people thought it was just a habit, but when it became routine, every single time rumors spread like wildfire. One glamorous evening, the marble hall of Zara's mansion was alive with laughter and music. Guests in sleek suits and glittering gowns raised their glasses as the jazz band played softly in the background. Zara stood at the center of the room, her emerald gown flowing gracefully, her diamond earrings catching every flicker of light. She smiled and chatted warmly with her guests. But then it happened again. Just as she finished a conversation with a wealthy businessman praising her charity work, she excused herself, her smile fading slightly, and walked straight out toward the garden. Her fiancé, Tund Adewale, a tall, handsome black African man in a perfectly tailored navy blue suit, watched her slip into the darkness beyond the glass doors. His jaw tightened. Why does she keep doing this? He thought. What is she hiding? Later that night, as the guests began to leave, Tund tried to ask Zara about it. Zara, every time you talk to someone, you disappear into that garden. What is it you're hiding from me? Zara's eyes flickered, and for a second, her strong, confident mask cracked. She looked down, her red-painted nails trembling slightly against the wine glass she held. Oh, Tund, it's nothing. Just fresh air. You know me, I love flowers, she forced a smile. But Tund wasn't convinced. He had known her for years, and tonight her tone was different. There was fear hidden in her voice, a kind of vulnerability she had always tried to cover with wealth and charm. The next morning, the sun rose high over the mansion. Zara's maid, Amaka, a young black African woman in a simple modern blouse and skirt, carried breakfast into the living room. Zara, still in her silk robe, sat by the window, staring at the garden. Madam, forgive me for speaking out of place, but people talk. They wonder why you always go into the garden after speaking. Should I tell them something if they ask? Amaka asked gently. Zara turned, her face calm but her eyes red as though she had been crying all night. No one must know, Amaka, not even Tund. Do you understand? The garden is the only place I can breathe, she whispered, her voice fragile. Amaka nodded quickly, lowering her gaze, though her heart ached for her mistress. That evening, Zara hosted another dinner. Once again, after laughing with her guests, she slipped quietly into the garden. This time, Tund decided to follow her. The night air was heavy with the scent of blooming jasmine. Crickets chirped and the soft glow of garden lamps illuminated the path. Tund walked slowly, careful not to make a sound. He saw Zara kneel near the old stone bench, her elegant gown brushing against the wet grass. Her hands trembled as she pulled something out of the ground, a small, worn notebook wrapped in cloth. Tund froze, watching from behind a tree. His heart raced. What is she hiding in that book? Why does she come here every night? He wondered. Zara opened the notebook and began reading, her face lit by the garden light. Tears slid down her cheeks. She clutched the pages to her chest as though they carried the weight of her soul. Tund returned to the house quietly before Zara noticed. Inside, his mind burned with questions. Was she hiding a secret past? Did she have another man? Or worse, Was she living with a pain she never told him about? The more he thought, the heavier his chest felt. He loved Zara, but he also knew trust was the foundation of their future marriage. That night, when everyone had gone to bed, Zara stood once again by her window. The garden looked peaceful, but in her heart storms raged. She whispered to herself, one day they will know, but not yet, not yet. Her reflection in the glass showed not the powerful, glamorous woman the world admired, but a lonely soul carrying a burden she could not share. As dawn approached, Tund lay awake, staring at the ceiling. His thoughts echoed endlessly. Whatever secret she hides in that garden, I will uncover it, even if it changes everything between us. The stage was set. Zara's mysterious habit was no longer just a curiosity, it was a ticking clock waiting to explode into truth. And Tund was determined to find out why. The morning sun bathed Lagos in golden light, yet inside Zara Okafor's mansion the air was heavy with silence. Tund Adewale, her fiancé, had not slept all night. His thoughts kept circling back to the image of Zara in the garden, her emerald gown brushing against the wet grass, her hands trembling as she pulled out that hidden notebook and pressed it to her chest like a lifeline. He had seen wealth, he had seen power, but never had he seen such deep sorrow hiding behind a woman's perfect smile. At breakfast, Zara sat gracefully in a cream-colored gown, her hair tied in a sleek bun, her silver jewelry gleaming against the morning light. She stirred her tea absent-mindedly, her eyes fixed on the garden beyond the glass doors. Tund sat across from her in a crisp tailored suit, his face calm but his heart restless. Finally, breaking the suffocating silence, he leaned forward and said, "Zara, I can't keep living with questions. Whatever ties you to that garden, whatever secret you've been hiding, I need to know the truth." Zara froze, her spoon slipping into the cup with a sharp clink. Her hands trembled as she placed it down. For a moment, she said nothing. Then, with a heavy breath, she rose from the table. Her gown flowed behind her as she walked toward the garden. She paused at the doorway, her voice quiet yet firm. "If you truly wish to know, then follow me." Tund's chest tightened as he stood. Together, they stepped into the garden, the morning breeze carrying the sweet fragrance of hibiscus and jasmine. Birds chirped overhead, but the weight between them silenced all other sounds. Zara led him to the old stone bench, her movements slow, as though every step carried the weight of years of hidden grief. Kneeling gracefully, she brushed away the soil, revealing the small, worn notebook. She held it tenderly, like a fragile treasure, before turning to Tund, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. "This is why I hide," she whispered. "This book belonged to my late brother, Chima." Tund's eyes widened. He knew little about Chima, only that Zara rarely mentioned him, and when she did, her voice always carried an unspoken ache. He stepped closer, his voice low. "Zara, tell me, what does this notebook mean to you?" She opened the pages slowly, revealing faded handwriting and sketches. Her fingers traced the ink as her lips trembled. "Chima was my best friend, my protector. He was kind but misunderstood, often mocked by people who never saw his true heart. This garden was his refuge. He would sit here, write his thoughts, sketch flowers, and dream. One night, after a cruel argument with people who judged him, he left this house and never returned alive. His life ended too soon, Tund. This notebook, these pages, they are all I have left of him." Her voice cracked and tears slid down her cheeks. "Every time I speak to someone, every time I smile as though I'm fine, I feel his absence crushing me. I come here after every conversation because this is the only place where I can breathe, the only place where my mask can fall." Tund felt a lump in his throat. All these years he had admired Zara's grace, her wealth, her flawless image, but now he saw the woman behind it all, a sister still mourning, still chained to a grief she never shared. He placed his hand gently on her shoulder. Zara, you should not have carried this alone. You could have told me. Zara shook her head, closing the notebook tightly. How could I? The world sees me as a rich woman with everything. If I told them I hide in a garden because I am broken inside, they would laugh. They would never understand that wealth cannot heal the emptiness left by loss. So I kept it to myself. I hid. Tun's heart ached. He took the notebook, his eyes scanning the pages. Suddenly, one letter stood out, written in Chima's hand, addressed directly to Zara. The words leapt off the page. Dear Zara, never hide your pain. Do not let walls or wealth silence your heart. Speak your truth. Let the world see your scars. Only then will you be free. Tun's voice shook as he read it aloud. Zara broke into sobs, falling into his arms. For the first time, her mask shattered completely. She was not the flawless heiress of Lagos tonight. She was simply a grieving sister who longed to be understood. Tund held her tightly, whispering, You are not weak, Zara. You are human. And I will carry this pain with you. In the days that followed, Zara began to change. She no longer rushed to the garden after every conversation. Instead, she started speaking openly to Tund and even to Amaka, her maid who had always cared silently. The burden of secrecy lifted little by little. One evening, dressed in a crimson modern gown, Zara stood before hundreds at a charity gala. For the first time, she spoke publicly, not about wealth or charity, but about grief. We all carry wounds, her voice echoed across the hall. Some hide them behind money, others behind a smile. I hid mine in a garden. But hiding only deepens the scars. My brother taught me, even in death, that silence is not strength. Today, I choose to show my scars so others may find the courage to show theirs. The hall fell silent, then erupted into applause. People wept, moved by her raw honesty. For once, Zara's power came not from diamonds or designer gowns, but from truth. That night, she and Tund sat in the garden together, the notebook lying between them. The garden no longer felt like a prison of grief, but a place of healing. Tund held her hand. You are not alone anymore, Zara. Not in this life, not in your pain. Zara smiled, her tears glistening under the moonlight. For the first time in years, Tund, she whispered, I can breathe without hiding. The wind rustled the leaves, carrying away years of silence, leaving behind peace. The moral of Zara's journey was clear. Wealth may dazzle, but it cannot mend a broken heart. True healing comes from honesty, vulnerability, and the courage to let others carry our pain with us. In sharing her secret, Zara not only freed herself but also gave strength to others who hide their grief in silence. And so, the rich woman who once hid in her garden after every conversation finally stepped into the light stronger, freer, and truly alive.